If there's one thing that narcissists hate, one thing that they really detest, it's being ignored. And this doesn't apply so much to people that they don't know, people they don't care about, but it's rather people who are close to them in their lives, people who supply them. So usually the narcissist would have one person who gives them the most supply, and that would typically be their long-term partner, if they have one, the person who lives with them, etc. But then they'll typically have a few other people in other capacity who give them supply, which is the fuel that they need just to exist on a day-to-day basis. And narcissists, they depend on that. They depend on the fuel that these people provide. And narcissists, they like this kind of dual fuel. And what I mean by that is they like having some people who stroke their ego, give them that positive attention, positive feedback, who supply them in that positive way. But they also like having one or two people who they think envy them, who they think hate them for their qualities because they're jealous. Narcissists like having some people who give that negative fuel as well, whether it's envy, whether it's just your resentment for some other reason, because positive or negative fuel, they both supply the narcissist. And if the narcissist can't get positive supply out of you, they like to get negative. But if you're somebody who primarily gives them positive supply, then they generally like to keep you in that category. But they do like to have some people who they think just envy them, want to be them, who, maybe the narcissist doesn't really give that person much attention and the person hates it, hates the narcissist for it. Narcissists do like the negative supply that comes from that kind of interaction. But what happens if you're somebody who supplies them, somebody whose fuel they're dependent on, and you ignore them? That's like if you're somebody who's important to them and you just start to ignore them, maybe they've started to treat you badly, maybe you're starting to see who you're dealing with and you realize that they're not healthy, so you want to take a step back. Or maybe in an extreme case, they've discarded you. Whatever happens, if when you start to ignore the narcissist, even if it's a discard, but it doesn't have to be a discard. If you They always expect you, even if they're not paying attention to you, they always expect you to be focusing on them. They always expect you to be thinking about them. And if they're ignoring you, they expect you to be chasing them. They expect you to be asking them what's wrong. Is there anything that you've done wrong? Maybe try to upset them. They like keeping people in wobbly places because that person doesn't know where they stand with the narcissist. And it's just the way they get fuel, because they know that if you don't know where they stand with you, and you keep wondering about where they stand with you, the fact that you're wondering about it and thinking about it, that's fuel to the narcissist. But it's when you stop paying attention to them, where you stop fueling them, that the narcissists, they do suffer this injury. And it's not a single injury, it's an ongoing injury. And you'll quickly see that they start testing the waters with you, trying to see, why you stop paying attention to them. Sometimes they'll start acting out, sometimes even in a dramatic way, or they might create certain dramatic situations or even create some conflict to see if they can get a reaction out of you. Because when you start ignoring the narcissist, they start looking for ways to get a reaction out of you. And, like I said, trying to get a reaction out of you can come in different extreme ways, whether it's ignoring you even more, or creating dramatic situations to see how you respond to it, or creating other conflict situations, maybe even doing something a bit bad, maybe talking bad about you, or just maybe trying to triangulate you against somebody else in a negative way. Sometimes they'll create situations that might put a bit of pressure on you, and they just want to see how you respond. And importantly, they want to see if you'll somehow come back and talk to them, somehow come back and pay attention to them. It's because narcissists, they don't like remaining in that injured place where somebody who was once a good supply source starts to ignore them. So they feel like they need to bring that person back in. And because they feel so entitled, because they have this entitlement over other people, and this entitlement over other people's energy, it's entitlement over other people's supply, they don't think there's anything wrong with it. They think that is just, the universe delivering to them what they deserve. And of course, they don't care how you feel. Like they might be creating conflict or unwanted situations for you, so you pay attention to them. Of course, they don't care how harmful those things can be to you. They lack empathy, which means that they're unable to really process what that means for you and the impact it has on you. All they care about is getting their fuel needs met. And that's why it's so hard when it comes to detaching from a narcissist. Like if you were very much a people-pleasing personality once, where you're giving the narcissist all your attention, maybe you knew the narcissist had certain issues where they were not easily emotionally balanced, emotionally regulated. Maybe you put a lot of focus and energy to try to help balance them out and wishing them well, and maybe even doing them favors and things. Once you are that kind of person, as you can see, it can be very difficult to stop doing that because they're going to miss that. They're going to miss everything you provided. And then if you stop, even if you're, you know, if you stop giving them that attention, you're not really ignoring them to punish them. You're ignoring them because you're trying to detach from an unhealthy person. But the narcissist sees it as you ignoring them because they're not getting the attention they were once getting. So that's where they have, because of their entitlement issue, they just feel in their right to do what it takes to bring you back in. And that's exactly why it can be difficult to detach from these people, because they keep testing you. They keep creating situations where you feel almost bad if you don't respond to. Maybe they're suddenly ill and they need you to come help them. You're the only person who can help them for whatever reason. Or maybe they have another problem, but you're the only one who understands the underlying situation well enough to actually be able to provide constructive advice. So they put you between a rock and a hard spot. They basically put you in a situation where you feel you have to be a bad person to say, no, I'm not going to entertain you. No, I'm not going to help you. Because narcissists, they love playing people's humanity against them. Like if you have good-hearted, humane traits, narcissists will use that as leverage. They'll create situations where you'll feel like the bad guy if you don't respond to them in the way they want. So when you are detached from a narcissist, you do have to realize that you have to accept that you might feel like a bad person in not responding to them in the way they want. But you have to accept that you have to feel like a bad person in the conscious awareness that a bad person is making you feel like a bad person. So it's when you consciously realize that it's okay to feel like a bad person, if you can consciously connect the dots and knowing that the narcissist is making you feel that way because they've created a situation where you have no other choice but to feel that way if you don't respond, then it becomes easier to just ignore and not respond. But why so many people struggle to detach and stay away from the narcissist is the narcissist will constantly make them feel bad about themselves if they're not giving their all to the narcissist, because narcissists are experts at creating those situations where you either help them or you don't. But if you don't, you feel like you're a criminal almost because, you know, they need you and you're not going to be there for them. If you were a people-pleasing, well-intended, want to see everybody being happy kind of personality at all costs, then it's really difficult for you to sustain that. But as long as you realize how the narcissist operates and how they use your own traits against you, then you do find that you can detach from them and you don't have to feel bad about it. And just realize that it's because they feel that they're ignored. It's because they feel that, well, they're not getting their supply needs met through you anymore. That they need to action it. They need to do something about it. But you should really stand your ground. You should really keep your distance. And in time, they will probably find another replacement supply person, and then they'll kind of let you go. So what you really need to do is kind of hold out, be resilient, and just know that sooner or later there's going to be somebody who's going to happily fill that role. Unfortunately, when it comes to narcissists, there's always going to be somebody out there who will kind of sacrifice themselves for the narcissist. It might take time for the narcissist to find that person, but once they do, in a way, you're off the hook. Maybe not 100% off the hook, but maybe you are partly off the hook. So yeah, just detach, focus on yourself, stay resilient, and trust things will be fine. And just know how their mentality works and that they can be really assertive, really creative when it comes to trying to bring you back into their life. Thanks for watching.